Hey there, friends and enemies, Jopa here again, and since everybody loved my last Dragon Age The Veilguard video, I figured I would start going through all of the different previews and information that we've gotten and react to them, give my own opinion, and talk about why I'm personally so excited about this game. I really do feel like it is going to be my favorite game of 2024, but we'll have to wait and see. Anyway, this one is from IGN, and it is the Veilguard preview that says BioWare finally nails the character creator I've always wanted, and it also talks about combat a bit. So let's see what they have in store for us today, and hopefully some good stuff.
Gods are back. Our gods. How do we stand against that?
After 10 years, we're now just a little over a month away from playing Dragon Age The Veilguard. I played a hefty 7 hours of BioWare's first original game since Anthem in 2019, and
RIP Anthem, to be honest,
in the Dragon Age series, starting with the prologue and later loaded into several different saves.
Morgan, my love.
As a longtime fan, what I'll say is 10 years is a very long time, but so far, The Veilguard hasn't disappointed.
That's what I've been trying to tell people. All the previews have been mostly positive, but no one wants to believe me. I understand they say everyone's biased, everyone's paid by BioWare, but I think this looks good, to be honest.
Now, I could talk to you about the combat, and I will, or the gorgeous locales.
The scenery looks tremendous, to be honest.
Or the way it felt to see Varric and Solus again.
Also great.
Hope I'm not interrupting.
Tell me Varric doesn't look great, though. Come on, man. Same thing with Solus. People are saying, oh, they look out of place. They look great.
I could skip straight to the character creator and start with, there's so much hair. Look,
the hair physics look really good too.
Inquisition, but fans have long acknowledged the limitations of its character creator.
Like, look how much better this one looks. You can't even compare them.
After the lackluster options of the last entry, it's wild to see what we've got to look forward to. 30 hair options for Qunari and 88 for non-Qunari.
The Qunari also
gorgeous physics.
A lot of the Qunari problems, I understand, maybe making them a bit more wrinkled. They have those big foreheads, but if you look at some of the pictures we've seen online of characters created, if you put some tattoos and other markings on the forehead, or maybe some scars, it really starts to come together. So I don't feel like just judging it based on these little bits that we've seen is fair.
As Rook scurries around Northern Thetis. So many different hair
people saying this looks like a mobile game are crazy, in my opinion.
Totally straight hair, 2B waves, or 4C curls. In making my character, I was drawn immediately to a long braid that whipped around as quickly as I did. Qunari horns also see a massive improvement. With 49 unique styles, options range from large and imposing to decorative or even asymmetrical. That said, yes, their foreheads can look pretty jarring. I played as a Qunari mage during most of my preview and will say I got used to the look pretty quickly. Dragon Age The Veilguard actually only marks the second.
So they can actually hopefully adjust this and give you more markings and wrinkles and everything like that on the foreheads. I do think they look a little bit silly, but it's not anything that I'm too worked up about because the horn options are way better and there are some pretty good options there for the Qunari.
Game of the series where you can play as a Qunari.
That's exciting,
The odd imbalance of forehead versus face feels like stylistic growing pains. I remain curious about whether more time with the character creator might help. The air shock of Dragon Age 2 is, in my opinion, such a beautifully crafted model.
I agree.
And I would love to be able to create a Qunari Rook that feels as memorable. Customization certainly doesn't stop at hair, or horns, of course. Every aspect of your Rook is editable, even allowing for facial asymmetry if you choose. Sliders allow you to change everything from head shape to the melanin in your...
One of the complaints people have had is they can't give their Rook big enough boobs or a big enough ass. And I find that to be kind of crazy, especially when you're in armor most of the time. Obviously for like the explicit, the sex scenes and all that stuff. people want to have the shapes that they're looking for too. I am assuming that gets a little bit adjusted before launch. I wouldn't be surprised. So it's less of an issue. So that way the sliders are more impactful there. But ultimately, having all of these different options is a good thing. There have been also a lot of talk about like the surgery scars for top surgery, but people have to remember, like I have an aunt who had cancer and she had the surgery, the same scars, the same surgery because of breast cancer. So it's not just people associated with like a trans issue or whatever the case may be, but that's not the case. And the other point I want to make, and this is a bit of a gripe that I have, is people will talk about scars and say, oh, it's a fantasy world, magic can fix that. That's not how Dragon Age has ever worked. The general populace hates mages. The general populace doesn't trust mages to use magic on them. There are canonical surgeons in the game, one who is an NPC, and the fact that every civilian, every person would have access to a mage to heal them is insane. We don't know when the Rook met up with a mage. We don't know, like, there's so many reasons why that is just incorrect when it comes to Dragon Age games specifically. Magic doesn't cure all. It's also been mentioned that even healing with magic in Dragon Age games is just speeding up the healing process. It's not completely curing that ailment like a scar. So you can make scars on past characters in Dragon Age games as well, on face and stuff like that, like you can in this one. So it's just nonsensical in my opinion, especially if you played literally any of the games in the past.
Your skin to the presence of vitiligo. Perhaps my favorite addition, however, is the introduction of body diversity. Cyberpunk 2077 and Baldur's Gate 3 had whiffs of this, but nowhere near what you're capable of in The Veilguard, which is much more similar to the breadth of the character creator in Dragon's Dogma 2. For each of the 4 races, there are plenty of presets to choose from, all with varying heights and muscle or fat distribution. Once you've chosen your preset, however, you can build further upon those elements as much as
I think that's great. Lots of different options.
First is a triangulation of coordinates, allowing for many unique combinations of body types that are thinner, larger, or more muscular. Height sliders are fun, especially when it means watching my particularly short elf ruin years of Solas's ritual planning by pushing over a statue. The options feel almost endless.
That's awesome.
There's even a glute slider. And yes, I gave my Rook one hell of an ass. All of this is only
that's a little bit of a meme because it didn't look like it did. It gave her that big of an ass, to be honest. But I also think that, like, that's not really a major problem, to be honest. It shouldn't be. If that's what you're concerned about with this game, I have questions about you and why you play video games, to be honest.
I haven't even gotten into facial hair, makeup, scars, or tattoos. As an elf, my Rook sported some Vaseline, but there are so many different designs for both the face and the body to experiment with.
I think that's awesome.
While I didn't spend very much time exploring customization for the Inquisitor, I just know we'll all get the chance to make them in the way we've always imagined.
That's sick.
It's good to see you again.
Also, it may be a relief to some of you to know that Veilguard abandons the awful green lighting of Inquisition's character creator and instead allows you to cycle through several lighting options in service
I like that a lot.
That look just as good in gameplay.
Sometimes the shading and the darkness spots can not look the same.
Lucky number 7.
With the when you're looking at the in-game character look versus the look of the character in the character creator. Alright, combat.
Combat, meanwhile, was a refreshing change from Inquisition. My go-to class has always been Mage, and even as a Knight Enchanter, I often felt like I was standing in one place holding down the left trigger. This felt like a return to the pace of Dragon.
I've seen a lot of people saying that the game looks spastic. Like, I've had comments, people saying that the game is, the characters moving all over the place and going. It's like, I want faster pace. The combat from Inquisition I thought was fun to a degree, but it definitely felt stationary, and that's something that moving away from that, I don't have a problem with that whatsoever. Anyone saying this looks like
2, with
a mobile game are insane to me. Like, absolutely does not make any sense.
The Veilguard introduces a new fighting style for mages featuring an orb and dagger for close quarters combat.
Yeah, this looks really sick. It's like a sword mage.
Who love magic, but also really like to stab.
This was kind of what I was thinking as my go-to as well.
I played through the prologue and then dropped forward into various points of Act 1. So I really got to quickly experience the progression Rook and their companions can go through as fighters. We may not be able to take control of our companions this time around, but the Veilguard really encourages strategizing with them. They'll call out to you when they've rebuilt their mana or stamina, and the ability will even...
As a fan of tactical and turn-based games, I like the quasi option. Like, I was a big fan of Final Fantasy VII Rebirth combat because it allowed me to dictate what my companions were doing, but I'm still always using my main character who I want to play as, whose fighting style I enjoy, and that's what this looks like it's going to be.
Suggests combos. My focus during the event was mission
mixing and mashing
so I didn't
combos.
Get as much of a chance to interact with the characters as I would have liked, but even the brief moments of banter endeared me to them pretty quickly.
It didn't break.
You call that nice and quiet?
Each class gets its own ultimate ability. Think the focus ability.
Yeah, the ultimates look sick.
Along with a ranged attack. For warriors, that means yeeting your shield like a giant metal boomerang.
I think that looks awesome.
I've always played Dragon Age for story and not combat, but with this new system, I had so much fun.
Nah, I'm a combat person, and I love this.
Present during every encounter and truly accomplished after every boss battle. That said, there's definitely a bit of a learning curve. I still found myself confusing controls a few hours in. It's a departure from all 3 installments, but luckily the Veilguard offers 5 different difficulty levels that you can change at will if you want to ease yourself in.
I think that's good.
As a Dragon Age fan, the Veilguard felt like a homecoming of sorts. Just as much as seeing familiar faces in Solus and Varric, I was overjoyed to be back in the world of Thedas itself.
Yeah, this looks sick.
Moving us north allows for that sense of discovery I got in Inquisition. And if I'd encourage anything, it's to really look at your surroundings. Not only are there small environmental puzzles to entangle, along with small and effective moments of visual storytelling, but the horizon is full of breathtaking scenery that drives home the scale of...
You're telling me this looks like a mobile game? I cannot be bothered with that opinion.
One new locale, for instance, is a gorgeous underwater prison called the Ossuary. I won't spoil what you're there to do, but the design alone makes it one of the most memorable
Look at that giant sea
I've
creature.
had
It's sick.
in any Dragon Age game. Even after hours of gameplay, I still felt like I could have played for many hours more.
Yeah.
I'm optimistic about the Veilguard and excited for it in a way I haven't quite felt about another game in quite some time. If you'd like to see even more of the game, check out our exclusive IGN First coverage, which features...
So I'm going to go over some other previews that have had similar positive previews, but ultimately I think the game has a load of potential in a way that I think the complaints online are overblown about. I think the combat might take some time to get used to. It's faster paced, but I think that lends itself to what you're doing. I do feel like the tactical ability to command your companions and set up the perfect combinations that you want will add that RPG element. Plus, you'll have the skill trees, weapon combinations, all that kind of good stuff. So I'm really looking forward to it. I can't wait to see more. Stay tuned. Tomorrow I'll have a coverage of another preview from the 7 hours that these different companies were able to get. Different organizations and also content creators who, check this out, have their own ideas on what they think the game is, how they think it'll do ultimately, and I definitely want to stay tuned for that and see what everyone's opinion is, because if I am going to like this, I want to know exactly what I'm getting myself into. So I hope you guys stay tuned for all that. Like the video, comment, subscribe. My name is Jopa. Have a good one. I'll catch you all later.